morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wealth Help Desk. I'm CJ Collins, and I'm here with Mark Henry.
Desk.
Desk, yeah, I messed up the desk. This is our show where we talk about all things in a not a safe place, but a
I like
comfortable
that word.
space. Yeah,
Yeah.
about finance. So
Yeah.
we're gonna sit down, we're gonna talk about all things finance, and we're gonna be able to give you some answers to your questions.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I haven't got stumped yet, but I'm sure I will.
Everyone's a little bit different in the fact that they all have different needs and
Yeah,
wants
no
and
question.
desires, right? And
But
so,
this idea that, that you're going to be able to ask anything and we're always going to have an answer, let me be very clear. I expect to be stumped because I don't have all the answers. Now, the good news is I'll tell you that's like, I have no idea.
yeah,
I think that's the way you have to handle that.
sure,
Wow, that's a new one. Haven't heard that before.
sure,
And we're ready for that. But
agreed.
we want to have a place where you'll be able to just call in, write in, text in, Snappergram, Twitter chat, whatever it is we do. But get us the questions and let us get you the answers.
Yeah.
And we've got some actual good questions, but I think we're starting off with some other stuff. This idea about how do you've graduated college, you're a couple years out, and you got this big promotion, and now you're making six figures.
Mm,
Uh, you know, versus you've graduated college, or maybe you didn't go to college,
sure.
and that's great. And you're making 40,000. Well, obviously, the way you invest the same. You're going to just stick, 5% here, 5% there, 10%. I mean, it's exactly the same, right?
Well, I think what you're getting at is this idea of lifestyle creep and all these
Yeah,
other expenses
it's
that
not
kind of
the
come
same. It's
out of
not the
nowhere.
same.
Yeah, it's very different.
When you're making 40,000 a year, which is great. I mean, we look at that like, oh my gosh, you're only making 40,000 a year in this society. We see YouTubers making 40,000 a video, um, and so everybody thinks that's real. It is real for the ones that are doing it,
Mhm.
but 40,000 a year still puts you in the top. I don't know, 2-3% of the world. I mean, you're crushing it. Let's be real honest.
Yeah.
And I've seen people build a very living large lifestyle off of a modest income.
Mm, sure. Well, and I think every, let's call it college graduate, maybe even a little bit further than college graduate,
Yeah,
or just starting a new job, is they walk into this and we have a slide. It's got $40,000 on it
yeah,
from a starting salary.
sure.
And one of the things that's really, really apparent on this slide is the fact that your needs are so large,
Yeah,
and every dollar has to have a very much an identity of where it needs to go, a purpose, if you
but I
would.
don't think that changes if you're making 1 million a year or 3 million
Sure,
a year.
absolutely, yeah,
You have more dollars that still need to be assigned a purpose.
sure,
The problem or the issue becomes when people don't know where their money's going.
exactly.
And that's not if you're making 40,000 or 200,000. It doesn't matter. But when you don't know where it's going and the dollars haven't been assigned a purpose, they just seem to run away.
Sure.
It's like herding cats. Where'd they go?
Yep. And I think what's hard about this, it was definitely hard for me, is the fact that I could only put a very small amount into savings, into
Sure.
trying to invest in my retirement, because I was very intentional about how I wanted to put those dollars to use very quickly,
Yeah.
because I wanted to take advantage of the thing that I'm losing every day, which is time.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's a really big factor, that a lot of times when you make less money, you think, oh, I don't have the ability to have a dollar that can go into this
Right.
place and to avoid that I
Well,
can't use for 40 years.
and I got to tell you, see, you started off completely different than I did
Sure. Yeah.
because I started off doing it the way many of you watching right now are still doing it, which is this idea of, yeah, when I got paid, I had needs, so obviously there were some bills need to be paid, and I would pay those. But then I had things I needed. I worked. I needed to
Sure.
spend, and I was on the. If you went to the ATM machine and there was a balance, I was wealthy. And if there was negative, I need to get some in there before they close the account.
Yeah, I think these are also the scary days where it's like you do worry about where you're gonna eat and how much it's gonna cost and what that looks like. And your grocery store trips are a little bit
Well,
more congested
yeah,
because you're trying to figure out how can I maximize my dollar for food for the week. And for me, it was, and this is totally like, bottom of the barrel thinking, but I would buy a sack of potatoes for 69 cents and a bottle of ranch dressing.
yeah,
And that could feed me for a week,
yeah,
right? And it was pretty cheap to do that. And that's how I extended the dollar. And that's not the way I live my life today, right? Obviously, it's a very
sure.
different time. But I think
It-
that was one of those things that I used to be able to put more money
for me,
away.
it was Kraft macaroni and cheese because it
Yeah,
was like 19 cents a box, and I
sure.
would fill the pantry with it, and all I needed was that one pot, hot water, or water with an electric stove pot
Yep.
top thing. That's what I had, and you could live on that.
Totally. Yeah. And I don't, in some ways, you kind of miss those days because they were a little bit harder in that way.
I don't miss them at all. So I disagree. And yes, they were I don't know that they were harder, they were simpler.
Mm, yeah,
My brain didn't have to think about what I wanted for lunch
sure.
because I knew what I was getting for lunch. How many days has that been in the fridge?
Yep.
I think that's sniffing. Yeah, it's got a little twing, but I can get that down.
Yeah, it
That's
was.
how it was.
I
Much
definitely
simpler.
agree. Yeah, much
Much
simpler.
simpler. All right, well, let's go through this chart real
Yeah.
quick and just kind of give an idea. When we think about this and we move to this 80,000 salary, and we're not going to go through every number for everyone, but just it changes a little bit because all of a sudden when you're making, $38 an hour, let's say in this example, working 40 plus and individuals working 40 plus hours is the 67 percentile now and households 49%. This is about a median. This is about as close to 50 as you can get to what Americans are actually doing.
Sure.
And they're taking home 5,700 a month and they need a $30,000 emergency fund.
Mm,
So let's start with that. The emergency fund just tripled or doubled
it is.
from what you needed
Sure.
at the smaller pay rate.
Yeah.
It takes more to get by.
Sure. And you have more things at this point, right? That have to get fixed, and like the car, maybe the rental property, maybe the house, whatever.
Right. And yeah, and unfortunately a lot of people have more debt at this salary. Here's the
Mhm.
thing, when
Yeah.
you're making, I think we started with what, 40,000,
Yes,
and
sir.
and
Yep.
when you're doing 40, all you can think about is I don't have any problems in the world at 80.
Mm,
And believe me, those are thoughts I've personally had.
sure.
I've been in a job right out of school stuff making 40,000 going, man, if I get to 60, I'm done. Telling whoever I was with at the time, look, you may think it's hard right now, but I am just this far
Hmm.
from getting that next promotion, and I'll be making 60,000, and we're on easy street forever. And I'd get to 60 and blow past that. Now, when I get to 100, I mean that listen, it will absolutely, and it was never easier until it was.
Yeah.
And what I realized was it could have been easy at 40,000. You see, looking at this chart and doing things like this where we're actually staying well within our spending plan. It's easy at 40, it's easy at 60, it's easy at 250. Doing it the way I did it, it was never easy till it was.
Mm,
I mean, until I finally made a change.
sure.
I could have got to where I was making 1 million a year, and if I hadn't changed my habits, it would have still been just as hard as it was at 40.
Sure. It takes a lot of
Now,
discipline.
everything
Yeah.
around me would have looked different.
Hmm. Sure.
I mean, I'd been Facebook rich, baby. Come on, look at that happy family. Everybody's Facebook happy. You hardly ever see anybody posting a picture of the miserable kids, the miserable marriage, the miserable house, the ugly yard. I mean, nobody posts any of that.
Sure.
All they do is show their best side of themselves on their best vacation ever that they can't even afford and want to make you feel bad for not taking one.
Yep. Yeah. And it's gotten so. I mean, we always compare ourselves to other people.
We do.
So
And
it's
I did.
yeah.
And so if I was making 100, by gosh, you thought I was making a buck 50.
That's how it goes. Yeah, absolutely. The last one we have here is the $120,000 salary. And if I'm honest, not a ton changes from the
No,
needs, savings, and wants on this one. And
not really.
your emergency fund goes up. You have more, but I think you do have to be very intentional about where each dollar goes, because this is a spot where, because you are spending more, the dollars can disappear on you easier
Yeah.
in some ways.
Well, the thought on this one is really, I would like you to think about all these slides we've just done and realize none of them mean anything. And you're like, what? We spent all this time. The editors put all this together. Yeah, they don't. It's not about how much you make. It's about the lifestyle you put around how much you make. And you really, it's choice A or choice B, and we've always known this. We either have a knowing problem or doing problem. Health wise, we know I've had a doing problem
Sure.
before. Now I don't. I didn't have a knowing problem. Um, I think most people watching this right now, they don't have a knowing problem.
Sure.
They have a doing problem. You want to live large on 40,000 a year, you can do it. It requires discipline. It requires you saving money, putting money in an emergency fund. It requires the same things it requires at 250,000
Mm,
or 2 million. There's just more dollars to assign jobs to. But the situation's the same. And this idea of being wealthy in America, is that's really what we want people to be, is wealthy. Rich. Let's go
sure.
with rich. I think wealthy is a different term.
It is. Yeah. And because you can
Let's go with
be.
rich.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Let's go with rich.
and ultimately, like, there's different aspects of each of these call 'em brackets
Mhm.
that are exciting. You know, you
Oh,
can have so much fun at $40,000 and you
absolutely.
can have so much fun at
And
$120,000.
and some people are watching this going, "That's just BS." No, it's not. Find somebody making 20 and tell them how they what they'd feel like if they could make 40.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I want you to think about this. This idea. You're making, let's just stay with this idea of 3,000 a month. It's easy. 36,000 a year. You don't get a raise and that's all you make.
Mhm.
But you learn how to survive. Maybe it is eating Kraft, macaroni and cheese, and they're
Sure.
not 19 cents a box anymore either.
Yep.
But you go to Costco, you get them by the case. But you put together this life, and it doesn't have a lot of stress in it because every month you're able to save 10% of what you're making. You're putting some money away every month, 300 bucks, 400 bucks.
Mhm.
So let's call it 4,000 a year. Okay. And you have an emergency fund. So if the refrigerator goes out, you can get it fixed. And you go to work every day, you do your job, you come home. Stay off Facebook a lot so you don't have to be Facebook miserable because you saw people that are doing better than you thought they were.
Yeah.
But you're paying your bills and your stress level can actually be very low. But you're certainly not rich. Can we all agree with that? I mean, you're not financially wealthy.
Sure.
You're
Yeah.
not rich.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're going through life. You're
Yeah.
doing the motions and things are good. And you can see your friends that, car got repossessed because they got laid off. If you get laid off, your paid for car's not getting repossessed. And I say it's paid for, well, it probably is because you can't afford to have a payment. So, most likely is paid for. But when it breaks, you've got some money in the emergency fund to go put a starter back on it and
Sure.
keep it going.
Yep.
And you're watching life happen to others. And you just continue down this path. You're not really good at your job. You don't even get a raise.
Mm.
10 years from now, you've got $40,000 without the interest returned in your emergency fund, savings account, investment, wherever it is.
Sure.
Let's just call it, you weren't even smart enough to invest it. But you've got $40,000 in your account.
Okay.
So 10 years later, you could now quit your job for 1 year without changing the lifestyle you've had for 10 years. 20 years later, 30 years later,
Mm.
all of a sudden you retire, you have Social Security, 150,000 in the bank, and you actually can have a living large retirement because your expectations are the same as they've been for 30 years.
Sure. Yeah.
And you've got more than 3 or 4 years worth of money saved up. You've got Social Security, which is about probably, pretty darn close to what you had before.
Sure.
And you've got this money in the bank, and your feeling of rich is no different than the person that made 500 a year and finally has 3 million saved up. It's the same feeling.
It is. Yep. And I think the one thing that remains true, the more and more I think about it, is the most important factor in that spot becomes your health.
That's it.
Yeah, like can you actually wake up and do
I
your
could make a
yeah.
case that the person that went on this plan,
Mhm.
not ever making a lot, not ever spending a lot, has better health. You say, why would you say that? Well, mentally, they never had a lot of stress in their lives.
Sure.
They never had bills they couldn't pay. They never had, I mean, life happens to everybody. It's very fair. They had their ups and downs. But the reality is, CJ, they were able to do so much on so little
Yeah.
that now that they've got what they think is a lot, because it is a lot, they're just happy.
Yeah.
And they may even have better health.
Yeah.
And compare that to the person that is always they're making 40 and they're living on 60. They're making 60, they're living on 80. Because I was that person. They're making 100, they're living like 125.
Sure.
They're always stressed. I was. They were always trying to get to the next thing, pushing, grinding, doing whatever, thinking that there was some amount of money that was going to give them this feeling of, yeah, I'm here now.
Yeah. I've made it. It is what it is.
And trust me, when you look at me, I have made enough money to buy Miami,
Yeah.
but I spent it away so fast. It was never actually meant to last. Jimmy Buffett song,
Sure.
one of the most famous songs ever. But it's not about what you make. It's about the lifestyle you assemble while you're doing it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's as simple as it gets.
It is. Yeah. No matter which bracket you're in,
Doesn't matter.
live life to the fullest, right?
Yeah. Enjoy what you've been blessed with while you're getting it.
Exactly.
And I think that's the quickest way I can tell you in my own life. As soon as I learned how to handle what I had, man, I started getting a lot more.
Exactly. Sure.
Does that kind of make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Has that worked that way for yourself?
Absolutely.
Once
Yeah.
you learn to become a good steward of what you already had,
Yeah.
instead of what you wanted, but what you had.
Yep. Yeah. Taking care, and that I think you can't make it to the next level unless you take care of what you have. You have to take
Yeah.
care of what you have because that's how it grows.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree.
And that's how you get more of those things. We're gonna jump over to a little bit of a different thing. And I love and I hate talking about comparisons when we talk about median and
Well, that's
average.
what we
and-
just did, though, because
I-
I want people to stop doing that.
Sure.
I
Exactly.
want you to listen. If you're on Facebook to look up an old girlfriend, boyfriend, well, first off, there's a reason you got rid of them in the first place, so you don't need to look them up. But if you're on there for those things, whatever. But if you're on there trying to look at the other people that are happy and you're not, it's not them, it's you.
Totally. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
And so when we talk about this topic, don't look about it as comparing yourself. We're just trying to figure out what it looks like for different levels of income at this point. So
Yeah.
we have a graphic, and it's got the average balance and the median balance by age for different groups.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I can tell you really, really quickly when I look at the average is that there's a population that controls a large portion of wealth that really jumps that number up in a huge way.
Oh,
Because most people in their 20s do not have $130,000 saved. I mean, a lot of people in their 60s don't have that much money saved, right?
There's no question about it. So this is such a joke right here because I will tell you, when we look at this average balance, it literally says this 127 and then median balance.
Sure.
Um,
And even that median balance looks a little high.
it's way high.
Yeah,
It's not even close.
sure. Yeah.
So this chart can just be thrown in the trash. There's nothing about it. And this is what they put out so that you can look at this. You say in your 30s, and I have 100,000 and the average balance is 272, but I have median balance. I have 100,000 bucks and, I'm ahead or behind.
Sure.
Throw this away. It's meaningless.
And you know what's crazy about this? We were looking at a lot of different graphics, and this is what most of them say. This is what, and what I hate about it is
It's just not true.
It puts the 20-year-old in a spot where I don't have $5,000 saved.
Yeah,
And-
forget this 40. Where's that number coming from? But you got to understand something. This is take into account that there's a person out there with $1 billion.
Sure. Yeah. Messes the numbers up for sure.
It messes everything up. So to me, I wanted to put this out there just so I could tell you it means nothing.
Sure.
It absolutely means nothing. Let's go to this one.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's go to
All right, so this is Fidelity Investments.
Mhm.
So Susie, age 35, 109,000. Okay, and this is increasing your contribution by 1% and by the retirement you could have. Okay, so by increasing this thing allows her. Look at this. The contribution is less than what? How much a week?
$12.
12 bucks.
Yep.
Okay. So she contributes a little more, $12 a week. And what happens? She can now one day will have an extra, what is that, $100,000 to enjoy? Is that what we're saying here? And this is cool because I want to understand this chart, but heck, I don't even know that I understand.
Yeah,
it.
over time. I mean, and I think part of the point of this segment is knowing what's out there and what it looks like. But ultimately, I think it's $12 per week, and vacations they can enjoy
Right.
in retirement, right?
Right,
So
you will see it
35
earns
right
that
now.
$12 a week. It earns 60,000 more over her lifetime.
Exactly. Yep.
And by age, she's 35. So what they're saying there is by age 67, if you read Fidelity's fine print down there. But okay, so by putting $12 more a week, it's going to end up with another $60,000 that is time to enjoy more. Okay, now you go to this Andrew at 45, he puts $14 a week, and that's 70,000. And you got this over here, Sharon at 55, she's putting $16 a week and contributes less than $16 a week. And look what happens to her, and she can enjoy. She only has $18,000. Well, you see the difference is the age factor.
Yeah.
So you got somebody down here putting 12 in, but they're only 35. It gives them an extra 100 grand to enjoy
Yep.
at age 67 for extra stuff.
Sure.
Not the basics, just the extras.
Yep.
But Andrew does it, and all of a sudden he puts 14, but because he has less time, he gets half the money. And then poor old Sharon over here started at 15, at 55. She put $16 a week, the most of any of them. But yeah, she's got an extra 18 grand. I don't know what vacation that is. That's Myrtle Beach for sure. Twice maybe, but that's Myrtle.
Sure.
So this idea of time is what they're trying to get across to you. And I understand this concept very well because I waited way too long. You say, Mark, you're this financial advisor, blah, blah. I am. But it doesn't mean I had the discipline in my 20s that I have now
Sure.
later in life. It took me time to learn. Became very successful, at a pretty young age. My 40s was like unbelievable. And
That was like
had
last week, right?
yeah, right, exactly. Look at me. But literally my 40s was phenomenal and I was at a place where I could retire
Sure.
in my 40s. And then, a pivot of events and good decisions. And you say good decisions. Well, losing all your money is certainly not a good decision, but it was a good decision when I did it because I decided to go buy a couple businesses and do all that stuff. And obviously I did it at the wrong time.
Sure.
Doing that in 05, 06 was a terrible time to do it because of what was coming 08 and then getting completely wiped off the board. Now, the difference is you're sitting there right now and you're watching this going, well, I've had issues. I've had trouble. Probably. How many people do you know when you command, 1,800 in the military? How
Yep.
many of those people, a lot of them are very young, but would you say most all of them have had at least one event in their life so far, even if they're 22 or 23?
Multiple events. Yeah, I mean, there's chaos.
Not
Yeah.
always financial.
People are
but
messy.
yeah, life is messy.
Life is messy. Yeah.
It's messy. So it doesn't make me special.
Sure.
I think the special part, and I don't want to say special, but I think the special part, CJ, for me probably comes from my ability not to have that define my story of how the outcome of my life and my family's life was going to look.
Sure.
That's the part, hey, being in your 40s and losing all your money, millions, and then having to start over, that sucks.
It does.
But being able to rebound in the way we did and now be better than I've ever been, that's what's really cool.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that's encouragement for anybody because I can tell you if I can do it, anybody can. But it took realizing that that's not how my story was going to end. So if you're looking at this thing now and you talk about this retirement savings and and you're like, Mark, retirement savings, I'm in debt. I don't even have anything saved for retirement or very little. Okay. Try having a bunch of money in your 40s and being dead broke at 50. 48. Dead. Had it all. College kids funded, educations. I had money, cows in the bank and money out west. Think about that. And you had to start from zero. So wherever you're at, I don't want to be harsh when I say this, but I really don't have sympathy for you. I'm sorry you find yourself in a position you're in. Just like I'm sure, I thought I had a lot of friends, but go lose all your money and find out how many you really got. A lot of them run away. But when you think about that, I'm sure there were people sorry that I had made the decision to step away from retirement, buy businesses, do all these other things. Okay. But I didn't want to hear sorry from anybody.
Sure.
What I had to do was shake it off, feel sorry for myself for about 24 hours and go to work.
Sure.
And hit the grindstone hard. So if you find yourself in a position right now where you're not heading the direction you want when it comes to saving averages and all this other fun stuff, yesterday was the best day to get started on a new plan. Yesterday's missed you. It's today. It's Wednesday. This is the best day of your life. The day you're watching this video, this segment right now, could there be a better day for them to start fixing this?
No, I mean, it's just like going to the gym. It's just like a lot of these habits you want to build in your life. You need small wins. And so you gotta,
That's the truth.
and and I always recommend this if I take this from a money perspective to a gym perspective really quickly. It's like sometimes the first week of you going to the gym is just showing up. Like go to the gym for half an hour and be there, right? Like even if you lift up one weight while you're there, that's okay because you've started that process, right? And if I take that and convert it to the finance side, start with $5. Start with $10. Start with $20.
Let's break that down right now, the
Yeah.
saving average.
Sure.
So how would you fix this? Let's go to a couple of extremes,
Mhm.
two different angles. Let's go to the person that is is finds themselves deeply in debt, college debt,
Sure.
credit cards, car payments. They've been Facebook happy.
Yep.
Let's call them Facebook happy. They've been trying to keep up with the Joneses. That's the oldest saying in the world. I never even met the Joneses. I never had a neighbor named Jones. Did you?
I met the Joneses, yeah.
You met them? Okay, I've never met them.
They went skiing a lot.
They went skiing a lot. All right, there you go.
We tried to keep up with them, but I was a snowboarder. So.
Yes, there you go. There you go. All right, and then let's go to the other extreme. You're watching this, and you're like, "Yeah, I don't have debt and other things."
Sure.
So, but I want to have this living large lifestyle. And remember, living large is not about having more; it's about fearing less.
Mhm.
Yeah, many people that are living large do have more. Great, but having more doesn't mean you fear less. In fact, many times we see people before they come to work with Alloy Wealth, one of our companies, but we see people that literally have more and fear
Oh,
way more.
fear a ton.
And then I see
Ton of
people that come in and we're able to build them a plan and they have less and fear even less.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so that's the whole idea.
Two extremes, both
Right.
not good.
Both not good. So let's go. All right. So you find yourself deeply in debt and it is rough.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure,
All right. Been there, done that, got t-shirts.
sure. And
How do you fix it? What's the first thing you should do?
so this is me, and I'm curious what your thoughts are
I
because
don't-
it might be
Hope
'cause
love
we're,
you.
we're different
We're
in this
different.
way, right? So my thing is, if you have debt and you want a win as quick as you can, so you probably would attack the smallest debt that you
Agreed.
but with one exception. If you have something like credit card debt, if you have something with a super high interest rate,
Yep.
you have to attack that first because
Okay.
it's the thing eating away at you the most and the quickest. So that would be, depending on your situation, credit card debt, 20%, you got to get rid of that immediately. But if you have something that's small, like, call it maybe a car payment, I don't know, something that's like $2,000 that you can get, hey, if I spend 6 months, I can get this one eliminated. Do that because it is your quick win. But
You're
what are your
wrong.
thoughts? Yeah, I'm wrong. I love that. I love being wrong. What, what do you
And I
think?
don't, there's no wrong,
Sure.
but there is in this example.
Okay.
Um, you've got credit card debt, you've got car payments, you got all this stuff, and the very first step is where's the money even going? That's step number one, you say, because at the end of the month, you're most likely finding yourself with a couple days left, and the accounts are pretty thin.
Okay.
So you're waiting to get that next paycheck.
Yep. Yep.
They call that living paycheck to paycheck, and that is a 50% of Americans or more.
Sure. A lot
Don't
of
know
people.
the exact number, but it's a lot of people.
Yep.
All right, so we have to stop the madness. First thing you do is where's the money going? Now, I'm a Dave Ramsey fan. I've been with him for years. We're a smart investor, or whatever I'm called, something pro or something. I don't know, some new title every week. But I disagree with him when he talks about this. He does talk about tracking your dollars, but he wants you to write it down and bring the receipts home and all that.
Sure.
Listen, if you're a married couple, this is one of the faster ways. First off, financial crisis is one of the, if not the highest reason for divorce. Finances.
Yeah.
Google me on that. Fact check.
I believe you.
Finances are one of the biggest things for divorce. Second biggest thing, in my opinion, is Dave Ramsey telling you to start collecting receipts. And then you come home and the wife yells at you because you didn't bring your coffee receipt home, or you yell at her because she didn't get the nail receipt.
Yep. Sure.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to do that. That's old school. We don't need to do that. We need to go through the checkbook. Who has one?
No.
Do you even know where your checkbook is?
I mean, I use a digital,
Bank statement.
budget
Right.
sheet, and all my
Correct.
bank statements are connected to
That's
it.
what
so-
we're actually going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to get rid of all the money that leaves our account automatically.
Okay.
And I mean all of it except for the power bill, the water bill.
Yeah.
Put
Necessity.
those things on automatic payment because you don't want to miss them and the power gets turned off. You have to break the lock and turn it back on. You can ask me how I know. People used to come to my first home and they would see these styrofoam coolers stacked up in the carport, didn't have a garage and everything. Why do you have all those coolers? And I would not want to tell the truth of why I had those. But those would come when our power was shut off and I was told to get ice in a cooler on the way home. So driving all the way home, not good use of money to buy the $3 styrofoam cooler, to pick one up and go back and get ice. I thought it was better just to pay the $3, fill it full of ice, get 2 bags of ice, and come home and take whatever we wanted to salvage out of the refrigerator and put it in there until we could get the power turned off.
Sure. Yep.
The fact that I had multiple of those tells you how much the power was turned off, by the way. There you go.
Yep.
So we would start this plan with where does the money go? Now, when it comes to actually paying the debt, I would not pay any of it off. I'd pay the minimum payment on everything.
Okay.
Everything.
Sure.
High interest, 30%, everything else.
Okay.
Until I had some form of an emergency fund
Okay.
in cash.
So you're building the emergency fund before we're going to attack the debt.
And that seems ludicrous because your emergency fund, if you go to a high yield savings account at an online bank, is going to make you about 3.5%.
Yep.
And you're paying 20, so I'm an idiot. But I'm not.
Sure.
I promise. Been there. Here's why, in my heart, I get told all the times we built this great company. I'm a great advisor. I give great information. I hear this stuff all the time. It's ridiculous. The reason I know this stuff so well is I've been there. I did it. I've had to do this. I have learned from all the mistakes. It's unlikely you've ever made as many as me. And it makes me really, really good at what I do because I know this stuff. You've got to get the emergency fund first because as soon as you get that that high interest credit card paid off, and there is examples, they say do the highest credit card first. I disagree. You were 100% right when you said get the easy win. Go to the smallest debt you got. So even if the smallest debt you have is only at 6% interest and something else is at 20, pay the 6 off. Why? Because I want to win. We have this need to win.
Yeah, momentum. You got to build the momentum on.
But here's the problem. If you do it before you have a fully funded emergency fund, about the time you get 2 of these wins done, the refrigerator goes out. You don't have any cash on hand because you didn't build an emergency fund first. So guess where you go? Right back to the credit card. And when you do that, it gives you this feeling of, I worked so hard to get it paid off, and now I got to go put $1,000 on it to buy a used refrigerator, $800, and I'm right back where I was. I will never win. I will. And when you say those statements, they become true. I wake up every day and tell myself that I'm a winner. All I do is winning. When you hear our knucklehead president, and I say knucklehead, look, I love the guy, but sometimes he's just a knucklehead. But he tells us we're going to get tired of winning. Why do you think he says that? Because he's making it become true.
Sure.
He doesn't say you're going to get tired of losing. He says you're going to get tired of winning. We're going to win so much. We're going to win so much. You've got to have wins in your life, and it all starts with building an emergency fund first and then attacking these credit cards. Snowball method is what they call it. We can go a few more minutes on this.
Yeah.
And then what happens, CJ? What happens when people start winning?
I think it's so enjoyable, and the feeling of accomplishment happens that you just continue to win more.
You go to the gym.
Yeah, you know
what happens.
Well, you just keep going to the gym, and you get more. Your body feels better. All these other byproducts of those wins start to impact other areas of your life.
And it becomes contagious with your peers.
Yeah, totally.
I like this loud budgeting. I've talked about it many times. Loud budgeting is where you're taking your closest friends and a couple of your haters and telling them what you're going to do. Hey, it's hard. It's hard to go tell someone, hey, CJ, you ain't going to believe this, but man, I messed up. I got 10 credit cards. I got $20,000 in credit card debt. I got this, that. It's hard.
Yeah.
So you don't want to maybe disclose everything. But I think you do have to tell your friend like CJ why you're not going out this weekend to the concert. It's not because you don't enjoy them. It's not because you don't want to go. It's you're turning down the invitation. So the best way to do that is loud budgeting. Say, hey, we've made a decision. It doesn't have to be January 1st. It can be today. We have made this decision. We're going to do this. We've still got some debt we want to take care of. We got some credit cards we want to pay off. I've still got a student loan. Just be honest. You have to tell them how much. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
Sure.
But we decided we're going to do this. So when we say no to the fun concert, to the show, to the trip, it's not because we don't want to go. It's because we're choosing to make this change in our life, and we would love to have your support with it. Now, if you choose and want to just come over and we cook out hamburgers on the grill and you bring the hamburgers, I'll buy the buns or something.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do it. We want to hang out.
Yeah.
But we're going to do this, and we're going to do it and do it well. So we're not being fuddy-duddies, but we're on a mission. That's called loud budgeting, and it's contagious.
I love it because there's the accountability that comes with that is absolutely
Huge,
amazing because you can look at me and be like, "Hey, CJ, you said you weren't going to go do that, and you did it anyway.
right?
Like, what happened?" And it's the same thing of like showing up to church on Sunday. Where like, my Bible study group knows that I didn't show up to church on Sunday. It's
That's
like,
right.
"Hey, what happened on this one, dude?"
Right. Yeah. Well, and let's be clear, it's both of us coming from Christian backgrounds
Yeah,
and very much so. Going to Bible study or going to church does not make you a Christian any more than standing in your garage makes you a car.
totally.
Telling your friends you're going to loud budget doesn't pay off your debt.
That's right. Yeah, sure. You still have to do it.
The work has to happen.
Your knowing problem
The
disappears.
work has to happen. You've still got to do the work. All right. What else we got to talk about today?
The next kind of segment we have here is on generational financial wisdom, and it really talks about
Man, I love this.
yeah. I think what's really cool about it is the difference between the baby boomers, the millennials, and Gen Z, and how they're approaching these things. And what I love about it, I say love about it. I think financial knowledge is growing. I think the Gen Z specifically,
They're getting better.
they know they have the technology
Listen,
to do it for them
Gen
in a lot of
X
ways too.
has
Yeah.
not done it the way the boomers did it in this way, where they saved everything, and they did a great job.
Mhm.
Boomers saved a lot of money.
Sure.
However, the boomers are just like the generation before them, the greatest generation we've ever had, my grandfather's generation, where they worked their tails off,
Yeah.
saved money, never enjoyed a penny.
That's right. Yeah. They totally were total buzzkills because they
Buzz
didn't want to have any fun with it. They just said, "Hey, I
and
worked so hard to get all this."
and boomers, because they remember the Great Depression,
Mhm.
they know what their parents went through,
Yeah.
they know the stories. They many times are just like them. The younger boomers, not as much. The older boomers, 100%.
Yeah.
You move into Gen X. Gen X had more fun.
Sure.
There's a
They had
lot
the
of good
60s, I mean.
examples. That Gen X did. Gen X did, and that was the 70s.
That was
Gen X,
70s.
70s,
Yeah,
80s. They were the 80s kids,
Okay.
70s kids.
Yeah, yeah.
They had a lot of fun. There are some that saved a lot.
Mhm.
There's some that didn't save near enough.
Sure.
And we jump into this Gen Z, they're doing it completely different.
They are.
By and large, we're seeing some very, very high net worth young people. We're seeing them do FIRE, where they want to retire. They want to live like nobody else young and live like nobody else in their 40s, retiring much earlier. They have a completely different definition of what retirement's going to look like. We're seeing them embrace things like tiny homes and
Yep.
and completely different spending plans than what their parents did.
Yeah. And I think one of the things they're doing a lot, and you hate this word, so we don't have to call it the bad word, but they're creating spending plans. And so
Spending plans is a good.
they are creating purpose for each
Yes,
dollar.
they are.
Where I think that Gen X didn't do that as well.
Not at all.
And I think the checkbook is kind of like, I remember my mom sat me down and she was like, "CJ, we're going to learn to balance your checkbook." And I was like, it's not hard, but it's definitely not a fun thing. You don't like look forward to doing it.
Nobody
right?
does that.
And nobody does it anymore because that's kind
Lost
of-
art.
it's a rudimentary form of budgeting in some ways, right? And now
No doubt.
you should still check your banks to be like, hey, is there an additional statement in there? Because there's so much scam and fraud and
Oh
things
my
that
gosh,
happen.
it's unbelievable.
It is crazy, and because it's all digital, it can be it can go under the radar. So you should check
Well,
that stuff.
When I think of this generational financial wisdom,
Mhm.
I learned so much from my grandfather. My grandfather really encouraged me to spend money. And you're like, what? Yeah, that was that greatest generation.
Mhm.
No, he was different. He was a moonshiner, Dawsonville, Georgia, Lee Valley, Tennessee, and
Oh my gosh, sounds awesome.
yeah, he was an amazing man. He had a DX gas station. Used to tell me there wasn't much money in gas, but it made everything else legitimate. He had corn crops and he sold moonshine. He was a strong,
Okay.
big, strapping man. Lived a very long life, well over 100. But he was solid as a rock in his 90s. He was working hard, man's man. But his financial wisdom was brilliant, truly brilliant. I remember as a young kid telling him I wanted to get my first motorcycle.
Okay.
And he was like, "You should do that." He thought it, my mom, of course, hated the idea. My
Sure.
dad,
Every person in
right.
your life, a lot of
My
them.
grandfather's like, let's go, boy.
Sure.
I roomed with him for most of my life,
Okay.
young life.
Sure.
We didn't have enough rooms in the house, and my grandfather, my grandmother I never met. She died before I was born, and he lived with us and had lived with us forever.
Yep.
So I shared a room with him and got a lot of wisdom from that man. But he said, you get one, y'all get two. He was that kind of guy. You want a
Sure.
car, get two cars. He believed that if you owed a man $1, you were a slave.
Ah, okay.
And he knew about that. So, he had grown up in a very hard life.
Sure.
Very hard. And he just believed you could buy anything you want. But it was exactly that, buy.
Sure.
We believe buying a new car is getting the loan approved, taking it home.
Sure.
You haven't bought, my grandfather would tell you, you've bought nothing.
Yeah, layaway at Walmart doesn't count.
He would believe that most people in America don't own anything. They don't own anything. So they're slaves.
Sure.
And that's a terrible word, but the way he meant it was, you're a slave to Bank of America. You're a slave to the Visa. You're a slave to MasterCard. You're a slave to Chrysler Financial, wherever you bought your car at. He was never going to be that person.
Sure.
He would have nothing and be free before he would ever owe a man $1.
Mm.
Now, he'd be happy to lend you money, and he used to lend me money.
Sure.
But let me be very clear. He loved loaning money because he wanted everybody to be in debt to him.
Interesting.
And as a young kid, if I wanted to borrow money from my grandfather, 10 years old, 11 years old, he's the first one to pull out his wallet.
Sure.
And he would loan me $10, $15, and I had to pay the VIG on it.
Oh, did you? That's funny.
Oh, that's, if you borrow 15, you were paying back 18.
Sure. That's really interesting.
And there was no paying it back.
Sure.
I mean, now you might trade him out a whooping for that. I'll take $1 off if I give you 10 licks. He was that kind of a man.
Yeah. I mean,
he wanted to embrace this idea that you have to own everything in life.
Sure. And I think there's a good lesson there. Obviously, it's a really challenging and hard lesson. And I think the opposite side of that, and you display this a lot. My grandfather displayed this a bunch, and he had money, and so like he'd give money, and he didn't expect anything back. I remember when I bought my first car, he said, "Hey." It was $13,000 for the car, and I was going to get, a loan on the back of it. And he was like, "Hey, I'm going to give you $5,000 towards this." And he was like, "There's no repayment plan. It was just a gift." And I think every single time he gave me money for those things, it was a gift, knowing that, "Hey, CJ, if you can't pay this back, it's fine. But if you cannot, that's okay." It is very much like, and he gave it knowing that, hey, this is not going to be paid back. And I think there's the two forms of giving on that side. And you want to be able to give.
Yeah.
And there is a hard lesson on saying, hey, you're going to pay this back.
Listen, I didn't learn that well from him. He would give me money.
Sure.
Birthday money, Christmas money or something. And if he just decided to give you something, he would.
Sure.
He was generous.
Yeah.
But that's completely different than me saying, I want something.
Yeah.
Will you? Oh, absolutely. He'd reach in that wallet. He always, and again, he was the one that taught me when you walked around that you had cash in your pocket. A man wasn't a man if he couldn't pull out $200 or $300.
Sure.
And I'm talking about back when $200 or $300 would be like having $1,500 in your pocket.
Sure.
We're talking about the 70s. Yeah.
Well, and
late 60s, 70s, and he would always have $400 or $500 bills on him, always.
Sure.
Mandy, oh, here you go, and he would loan money to people. They would come. I remember like yesterday, people just showing up our house to give him money. Because he had paid them, they borrowed, and they had to collect. He had to collect, and he was getting juice on everybody. And I don't know that what he would have done in his 90s to these people that were paying him 80s, but it seemed like everybody actually paid him.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So when you think about this financial wisdom, this idea of generational financial wisdom, I think there's good advice. I was going there for a reason because I think there's good advice that we can learn from others. But I really think it's that when I think of, there was a song by one of those famous Sinatra singers. It wasn't Frank, but where he talks about he did it my way.
Yeah.
What I'd like to get across to the people watching this is you can go on YouTube. It's one of the greatest things ever, and listen to 10,000 people like myself give you advice. And you can talk to your friends, and they'll all have advice.
Some good, some bad.
And we can go to books. I don't know if anybody does that anymore, but we can go to books and read how to do these things.
I'm sure they
I've
do.
got a new book coming out, so I hope there's at least 2 people. I want to get back some of the money I've spent on this. So anyway, but here's just from my heart. The only way for you to accomplish financial wealth and financial wisdom is your way. You look at all the other things, and you're going to have to pick the tools that you're going to use to do it your way.
Mm.
Because doing it the way I did it, that's my story.
Yeah.
Doing it the way you do it, and that's one of the hardest things you're going to have as an advisor.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be hard for you to look at someone that's older than you, that hasn't made the same decisions, hasn't been as disciplined,
Sure.
and not come across a certain way.
Sure. Totally.
But I've done this long enough now to where I know the truth. The truth is the only way for you to accomplish what you want is your way.
Yeah.
But I know this. You have to start. I had 3 gym memberships at one time.
You didn't go to 3 gyms at one time. Did you go to 3 different gyms? Why do you have 3 gym memberships?
Because one was bougier than that.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And I didn't cancel the first one, kept the second one and third. But guess how many of them I went to?
1.
None.
No, you didn't go
I
to
was just
gym.
fat. I just thought having the membership might make you lose weight. You say, Mark, this is ridiculous. This is the kind of dumb stuff I did.
Yeah.
And I was still fat. I'd be like, I'm going, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go. And then I finally had to take control and cancel all of them and stop all the madness. And people are laughing right now. Go, this guy's an idiot. I'm not. Look right now inside of your BOA statement and tell me you ain't got 12 subscription services that you don't need. Well, it's only $26. Every dollar matters. In this journey to financial wealth, you're going to one day have all your stories just like I do, just like you do. But the way you're doing it, while it may take bits and pieces from my grandfather, from your grandfather,
Sure.
from your mom,
Yeah.
she gave you a lot of financial knowledge.
Oh, yeah, totally.
She's done well,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. But whose story are you writing?
Yeah. And
Whose story are you writing?
yeah, it's mine.
Okay,
my
it's yours
story.
and Sarah's
Yeah, it is.
and Luke's.
Well, I guess they
now.
can come. Yeah. I'm just
Yep,
kidding.
they have to count, right? But that's whose story you're writing.
Sure.
So this idea that you can watch my wealth help desk and immediately I'm going to tell you what to do is ridiculous.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going to try to motivate you,
And
and I don't know that I can even motivate you.
Well-
I the biggest thing I can do is go, if he's telling the truth, and I am, then I'm the knucklehead that did it all wrong a couple of times
Mhm.
to finally win and win big and keep winning. And that should encourage you, not motivate, encourage you to go, you know what? I'm just going to start.
yeah, and I think what's great about that is because me and you are so polar opposite in the fact that like
You're doing it early.
you had 3 gym memberships. I review ours like every Friday. I look at everything we spent for the whole week, and I can tell you
Yeah.
what was a mistake, what was right, what was wrong, what I want to adjust, and
Yeah.
so I'm pretty like I'm a little bit over the top on
Yeah,
this.
no
so-
doubt.
And
and I'm 100% the other way.
yeah, and what's great
I'm
about
on
that,
the create more.
you could be in the middle of that too,
Right.
Or you could lean Mark's way, you could lean mine
But
way.
that's why it's your way.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly how I wanted this to understand this generational financial wisdom. It's not about how your grandparents did it, how your parents did it. Most likely, you're going to have to break that chain. I had to break that chain.
Yeah.
I didn't come from a wealthy family. They all worked hard and everything, but I wanted to break that chain.
You had that
Guess what?
moonshine money, Mark. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
right? Yeah. He wasn't sharing it. Look, I can tell you the one thing I do believe. Could I get back on that property that he used to own?
Yeah.
If we could, and I had a metal detector,
We gonna find something.
no, I'd be rich. Because he wasn't putting that money down at the C&S Bank. I can
Oh,
promise you
okay.
that. It was in moonshine mason jars, and he'd shove that money in mason jars and bury it. And he knew where it was.
Let's go get a
But I
shovel.
guarantee you there's still money out there buried in them. There's gold in them hills.
It's not collecting any interest at this point, all right?
No, it's not
losing
collecting
money. right?
interest.
We're losing
It's
money with it.
deteriorated in the ground. Hopefully there's some mothballs in there.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, the
What do
rats
you
will
got
get
for
'em.
questions and answers? Did we
Um,
get any good ones this week?
let's see. Let's go down this list real quick. So one question that we got is, how do I shift my investments and saving strategy as my income rises? What should be my biggest priority shifts? Um, I mean, we talked a little bit about this one in the first segment. Um, but what do you think, Mark? It's hard because there's so many
Yeah,
different stages of when it shifts on this
yeah.
one, you know?
Um, I would tell you that if you're 10 years or more away from needing the money, you should stay invested and invested in an aggressive way.
Mm,
When you think about shifting from investments and strategies, and saving strategy as my income rises, I would lean heavy on still investing for growth. So savings should always be that 4 to 6 or 8 months emergency fund.
sure.
Okay. Now, when I say investing, investments have diversification in them. Like, what are you talking about? Well, obviously, you want to be a diverse portfolio, but I would lean on my investments if I'm more than 10 years away, being diverse, not the same things, not all tech, not all this, but all aggressive
Yeah.
within my wish tolerance. But your timeline is long enough that you can recover. So I would have it aggressive. On the other side, I would have diversity inside and outside of tax classes, tax diversification. So I've got my emergency fund, my income's rising. Okay, let's see if I can contribute to a Roth. Can I convert to a Roth?
Yeah.
Do I need a brokerage account? What else can I do? Do I want to buy some real estate? I think about one of my advisors that's I think he's getting ready to get his second piece of real estate up in the mountains. He loves the mountains. They went to school up at App. Two of my children went to App. They love the mountains up there, so they're buying rental property in App. That's stuff they can actually use
Mhm.
and make money with.
Yeah, sure.
What a great strategy.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're not doing the 403s, 401s, alphabet soup of other stuff.
Sure.
This is an addition too. So as your income rises, let's add on other things.
Sure.
But as far as the investment side, keep it aggressive.
Yeah. And I think for me, this one is very much like you got to let time do the work. We talked about it. So
Time in the market,
That's
not
right.
time in the market, time in the market.
So if you get started, and I'm really aggressive, I'm 36 right now. I just turned 36 a couple of days ago, and
Happy birthday. I
Thank-
didn't even know you turned 36.
very good. February 2nd,
Good.
Groundhog's Day. Well, we see the shadow. Winter's going to be a little bit longer. But one of the things that I've done really well in my 20s is save aggressively. In my 30s, I've been saving aggressively. And what that's going to allow me to do is in my 40s and 50s and 60s, I don't have to save as aggressively. I can actually be a little bit more, I can spend more like Mark. I can be like Mark, right? And so I'm going to do those things.
Be like Mark.
And you might not be in my situation. Maybe you are 20 and you're looking at it and thinking, hey, I can save a little bit more now. I would encourage you to do so. But if you're getting started later, that doesn't mean don't get started. It just means you have to be aggressive as you get started to be able to do these things. So,
Well, this is funny. The editor says I have to stop finger typing. So I'm making him happy now. Isn't that funny? I'm sorry. Yes, the producer says I'm tapping my fingers too much. All right, I'll stop. All right, so how about this? CJ, what's the biggest financial regret you have?
oh gosh,
And so I'm asking you because I don't think you have a lot,
I do actually.
but I want to hear it.
Yeah. And this is a timing thing. So like there's been 3 really big ones that I knew about and didn't do because I was scared. Because I live on this side of fear where I don't want to make a mistake.
Mhm.
And so the 3 big things are I knew about Bitcoin because I'm a tech geek. And so I saw it coming. I didn't buy it early. I
Okay.
should have bought it immensely early.
Okay.
The second thing was NVIDIA. I was really big on graphics cards. I was actually buying and selling graphics cards
Yeah.
before NVIDIA kind of popped.
Right.
And so I should have gone really hard after that one. And then the third one is not buying soon enough on a house.
Okay.
Right before COVID happened, we got an offer to buy the house. But we had the money, we could have done it, but we just didn't do it. And we would have made, because housing market went up crazy, we would have made like $200,000 on the buying of this
Yeah.
house if we did it, but we didn't. So those are my 3 big, like, what if moments on the dollar side that we'd be pretty much in the same situation, but we'd be a little bit better off. So
Yeah. For me, most people would think it'd be spending all my money to buy dealerships and businesses and do
Sure.
all these great things and then losing it all. That was actually, I'd never want to do it again, but that
Mhm.
was actually one of the better things I ever did because it was a sound financial decision when I made it.
Mhm.
And what it put me through and my family through showed me what I have inside of me. And it helped me reduce my fear for anything.
Sure.
Been there, done that, got a t-shirt. I ain't scared. Do I want to do it again? Absolutely not. Let's be very clear. In no way, shape, or form. However, am I scared of it? No. What for me, I could give multiple examples of having a great investment that has made money and then I sell it because I made money.
Mm.
Because this concept of, you buy low and you sell high. And I like making money. So I sell it and make money. Only to realize had I waited, I could have made even more.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's this idea of that. So like with Bitcoin, I've got quite a bit of Bitcoin, and I've watched it get very high.
Sure. And it's dropping right now.
It's I think it's bottomed at 70 or so. I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the floor,
Sure.
in my opinion, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But I could have sold it high, bought it again.
Yep. Sure.
Sold it high, bought it again. And Bitcoin continues to do this. But eventually, in my opinion, it won't do that.
Mhm.
It's going to hit these crazy high marks, in my opinion, at some point. So I've just held.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's an example where I haven't done it.
Mhm.
But I think about like prior, when I was in my 40s and I had a Ford GT, one of the most coolest cars ever made.
Yeah.
And then obviously it got gone and everything, and that's fine. Used it for the right purposes and stuff. And then the disaster happened, and the entire car collection got gone, and all the cool stuff. And then as I've gotten back again, I've bought and sold many cars over the years. I still love automobiles, collectible automobiles, and Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all of them. They're great.
Yep.
But I finally got another Ford GT, and I bought it when the market was low enough. And man, they've just people are all over analog cars now, so the value has just exploded.
Sure.
And I sold it and made a great return on my investment. But understand that was an investment that I got to drive, I got to look at, I got to set in. But I had a really, really good one, and I sold it because I didn't drive it. I would drive it to a car show or two, but I never drove it. It was too nice to just drive.
Mhm.
And I told myself that I don't want to be a car collector. I want to be a car owner. I want to drive. I want to go, I want to have that beautiful Porsche that everybody thinks is a collectible, and I go put 80,000 miles on it. I saw a story recently about a man that bought a Porsche Turbo in the 70s, the first 930s, and he's got over 300,000 miles on that car, and he's still driving.
Yeah. Just loves the car.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost 300. I say over 300. It's under 300,
Sure.
but he's still driving it.
It's a lot of miles.
Yeah, he's driven it. He's driven it he's owned it since it was new,
Yep.
and he's just crushing it.
Mhm.
He's an old man now, still driving his manual transmission 930 Porsche, which was one of the harder cars to drive. They had that turbo that was on or off. It had a switch. There was no switch. It didn't work. It didn't work. It had no power. It had no power. Holy moly, what's going on? And so I wanted to be that person, so I sold that car.
Okay.
And now it's probably up another 100,000 since I sold it. And I'm like, I want to buy it back.
Yeah. Sure.
I want to know who's got
Do it
it, how
again.
much kind of profit can I pay you, and I just want to own it again.
Yeah.
And then the thought comes in like, why didn't I just drive that car and go put miles on it? And while it wouldn't have made as much, it'd still be more than I sold it for.
Sure. Yep.
And I would have gotten $10,000, 10,000 miles use out of it.
Yep.
And so those are regrets. And I say that because as we wrap up the show, this idea of when do you sell Google? I owned Google when it first came out, made a ton of money on it, sold it. You missed on NVIDIA or
Yep.
didn't buy enough, but yet you knew it was hot
Yeah.
because you were selling graphics cards.
Yeah. I saw the market
There-
before it. Yeah.
I would just tell you, don't live a life of regrets.
Sure.
I'm going to die with memories, not dreams. Hey, I've owned a red Ford GT twice. Been there, done that, got a T-shirt.
Yeah, sure.
Do I sit here and churn over it? I want it again. Do I want to pay what it costs when you know you already had one way less? It's really hard to do that. So I may have to find something else to decide to do.
Sure.
But when you think about investing, you can do investing through stocks, bonds, mutual funds, any way you want to do it, savings accounts. You can also do it with asset classes. There are cars that appreciate. I'm a car guy. There are planes that can, there's all kinds of ways, real estate, houses. There's more than one way to do this.
Yeah.
But it all starts with the basics of having a sound spending plan first.
Right. You got it. Well, that's been the Wealth Help Desk. We've done about an hour today.
Yep.
But we want you to submit your questions. Go ahead and put your comments down there. Ask any questions you have. And then like and subscribe. We'll be live every Wednesday bringing you all of the financial knowledge that you need to be successful. And we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.